We spent the vast majority of our lives going through schooling and really understanding all of the ins and outs of education and what that looks like at the different levels. Some of us also stick it out through a retail or food service job. But going into industry, what can you actually expect about the corporate world? Hi, I'm Laura, a PM working in tech, and on my channel I cover my life working as a PM, my life working in tech, and other computer science related device. Chances are you're about to start your first full-time job, or you're an intern or incoming senior, or someone that's close to the point where you have to actually start thinking about entering the real world and what that actually means for you. Let's first start off with something that you probably have heard 1,000 times before, is that school won't teach you everything you need to know. School gives you just enough to get interested in a topic, and then it's really up to you to figure out how to best pursue it next. School alone, though, is not going to teach you enough to be confident on the job. Regardless of how much experience you feel like you have or how much knowledge you think you've learned through school, there's always going to be some sort of context, history, person you need to know, way of doing things, that you're not going to be taught in school. Regardless of where you are though, people are always going to welcome someone who's interested in learning and has a growth mindset and applies that to what they're doing. If you're joining as a new grad, no one in industry is expecting you to pull out all the bells and whistles and all the stops and just be an amazing software engineer from day one. However, if you have no computer science background and trying to break into tech, you're probably not going to have a great time trying to get a software engineering role if you don't even know how to code in any language at all in the first place. When you think about things though, like system design, architecture, product management, etc., these just aren't really things that exist in school curriculum at a decent enough level for you to really dive in and have a strong grasp over. These are all things you're going to be gradually exposed to and gain confidence in until you feel a little bit more confident to lead your own things of system design and architecture, or being a PM, for example. Using software engineering here as an example, you probably start off with small bug fixes. This will help get you introduced to the code base, figure out the way that the team does continuous integration and continuous development, or CI/CD, introduce you to the language if you're new to it, and also some of the smaller things like formatting and general best practices that the team adopts and follows throughout their coding standards. You'll then probably move on to working on small features, working on larger features in collaboration with other senior engineers, working on a project that you're leading a small part of, leading the whole project, and then, full-blown designing, architecturing, leading as you're a senior or principal engineer. The bottom line here is to not stress about not knowing anything going into your first full-time job. People are expecting you to learn on the job, and there's just a lot of contextual knowledge you're not going to get otherwise outside of the current role that you're going to be entering. It's definitely important to take the time that you need to acclimate, adjust, and really get the lay of the land before you feel confident. So don't expect anything great out of yourself on day one, week one, or month one. The second thing to note going into your first full-time job is that the people skills will get you incredibly far. There are a ton of conversations that you're going to be thrown into that you have to learn how to navigate, and that are going to be really important for you to find your confidence in. For example, you're going to be collaborating with people that have years and years of experience on you, not working on a group project with friends that you've always shared the same group with. You're also going to have career conversations with your manager and discuss promotions, which are things that are just pretty unusual for a student to just jump right in and feel confident doing. As a new grad, it's going to be helpful to also find a mentor, but you're going to have to do legwork to make sure the person meshes well with you and also has the kind of expertise and knowledge that you're looking for to gain advice on. And when it comes time to the point where you're actually leading a team or leading projects, you're gonna have to be the one leading the meeting itself. So it's also important to be confident in setting an agenda, knowing that everyone's getting their value out of this time, and making sure that you're using your time effectively during the course of the meeting. In addition to all the things that I've already mentioned, there's also a huge plus to just knowing more people, especially people that can actually vouch for you, such as your skills, your competencies, your strengths, etc. And also people that can land you your next job, or overall just be a huge game changer in the way that you think about your career or navigating your career moving forward. You're gonna need this skill at some point or another, and the sooner that you can build that confidence and build that skill, the better off you'll be in the future when you have to just do it all the time. People usually think these skills only matter in the context of a customer-facing role, such as product management or program management, but in reality, this could be all the difference between someone who gets promoted in 1 year versus someone who gets promoted in 2. It's always going to be hard to practice and know exactly what the right thing to say or what the right way to approach a conversation is going to be, but I always recommend to start small and start where you're comfortable. The third thing to know is that the people you work with will have a dramatic influence on your overall happiness and success. You're spending a good chunk of your day, week, and overall life at work. You should expect it to have a pretty dramatic influence on the way that you feel and your overall happiness and satisfaction. Narrowing in though on what I think is really, really important is that your manager is going to be the key to success in your overall career. Regardless of how many different managers you have, Every manager is going to have a slightly different managerial style and way of working with you that may or may not mesh well with you. However, your manager is going to be responsible for so many things in your career. They're responsible for providing you with opportunities, giving you feedback, giving you advice, helping you solve problems, helping you prove that you can get more responsibility, helping you get your name out there to leadership and gaining you visibility, and overall also bragging about you and the work that you're doing. Another important aspect that your manager should help you with is making sure that the work that you're doing aligns with your career goals and your overall interests. Sure, there's always going to be some sort of work that you're going to be handed that you probably don't love doing, but on the contrary, there should also be something that you do enjoy doing and that you feel like it's giving you value in your career. Otherwise, you should also be having that conversation with your manager of how you can find something that's a little bit more fitting and more suited towards your interests. But see how your relationship with your manager and how good of a manager they are dramatically impacts your happiness and success. So your manager is going to be one side of the picture, and the other side is going to be your teammates and close people outside of your team that you work with frequently. These are the people that you're going to be bumping into all the time and also asking for feedback from, soliciting help from, etc. And if you don't like them, then you're also probably not going to have a great time working in your overall team environment, regardless of how great your manager is. You're always going to have that one person that's probably a little bit more difficult to work with, and you also don't have to be best friends with the people that you work with by any means. However, I do know that for a lot of new grads, they find it difficult to feel like they belong on the team if everyone is just so dramatically different from them, different age ranges, stages of life, and they overall have a harder time connecting with the people on the team. The fourth and last thing that I really want to stress is that work is usually as important as you make it out to be. Barring some urgent project with a crucial critical deadline that's coming up, or you're on an on-call rotation, or just some sort of force of nature, on a healthy team you get to set your own boundaries around work and defining your work-life balance and what that looks like for you. Small things like if you log on to work an hour late, or if you leave work an hour early for some appointment or something, really shouldn't matter in the long run as long as you're getting your work done at the end of the day. As long as things are getting delivered, you're hitting your objectives, and the amount of work expected out of you is getting done, then there's not really any reason why you need to be expected to stay any longer than necessary. If you want to spend more time working, increase your output or your deliverables, and you want to try for a faster promo, then go for it. If you also just want to keep your current level, you're happy and satisfied with the amount of work that you're doing and what's expected out of you, then also go for it. At the end of the day, work is work, and it's up to you to assign your own priorities and figure out what's important to you in life. Don't stress over the small things and small mistakes you make over the course of your career. They may seem like big issues now, but I promise you that there are ways around it, ways to mitigate it, and solutions that you haven't thought of that you can get out of a conversation with your manager or someone else on your team. Those are the 4 things I think are really important for every new grad to internalize going into their first full-time job. Everyone is going to have slightly different priorities and different expectations, but this is what you can generally look forward to and look out for. As always, if you have any other questions, feel free to schedule a coffee chat with me at ak.ms/chat-with-Laura, or join the conversation on my Discord channel, link in the description box down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week for a brand new video. Bye. This is my little filming buddy.